This is going to be a low row. I like this row position because not only does it get me to work some of my muscles that stabilize my shoulder blade, but that lower position also gets me to engage a little bit more of my glute and hamstring on the opposite side. So typically as I set this up, right, you have a handle attached to any of your low cable machines. And if I'm pulling with my left hand, I'm going to have my right leg in front, right? So I set myself up in this staggered stance. My front knee is bent just a little, so I'm not going into necessarily like a deep lunge here, just a slight bend to that front knee. Now as I go through this motion, the idea is that I give myself a little distance so that as I let my hand go towards and I let my shoulder blade be pulled forward, I'm keeping it down and my opposite hand is reaching back. So as I do that, I'm now putting that front leg, that hamstring and glute in a little bit of a stretch. And then from here, when I go to pull, you'll notice my lower back is flat. This tension is going to help me to come back up into an upright position as I then go through this row, right? And as I come into the row position, one thing that's important is that I never try and go way back with my elbow to where that shoulder tips forward. So as I pull, I try the same thing. I try and suck that shoulder blade down and back to where I feel like I can keep it down and I don't go anywhere beyond this. So if I were to go further, that shoulder blade is going to tip forward. So I try to make sure I maintain that downward position of my scapula. And my hands pass each other, right? So as this arm pulls, this one reaches forward. Once again, nice and slow. I let my arm straighten. I let that shoulder blade be pulled forward, but not necessarily up. As my opposite arm reaches back, and I get a good amount of tension in my opposite leg, that glute and hamstring. And then I keep pressure on this front heel, and I use that to bring my body back up as I come into this row. So it's worth noting that when I get to here and I start to let myself go forward, you'll see that I'm not rounding in my lower back. I'm really trying to crease a little bit through that front hip. So my lower back is nice and flat, and all the work is coming from my hamstring and my glute. So a big key here is that you should feel a little bit of tension in the back of that leg. If you don't, that front knee may be too bent, or you may be starting to bend at your back, which is going to ultimately end up in something not so great happening. So just so you can see it from the other side, right hand has the cable, so left foot's in front. I get a fair amount of space between my legs, front knee is just slightly bent, and it's the same idea. As that hand reaches forward, my opposite hand is reaching back. That alone, this hand reaching back, kind of helps prevent me from laying my lower back just round, because that reaching back kind of pulls my chest up a little bit taller, and I get a little bit of a turn through my mid-back, which allows me to bind up a little bit more lateral stretch in my hip. And then same idea, this front heel helps pull me back to upright. My hands pass each other as I go through this row. Nice and slow and controlled. Shoulder blade reaches. I get to the point where I feel tension in this front leg. I engage my hip to help pull me back into the row. Really good exercise to do as a precursor maybe to a single leg deadlift if someone's getting any pain in the front of the hip. And a really good one to coordinate lower and upper body to work together.